wonderful established singer and songwriter who has very beautiful music. Her name is Cissa Paz. Um, she has a name for herself in Washington, D.C. As an eclectic performer influenced by local jazz and Brazilian African-Indigenous background. Nominated for 3 Wammies, her debut album gained a great organic momentum. Cissa's captivating stage presence and soulful voice brings music that is upbeat and engaging. She's known and loved amongst the lovers and dancers of Brazilian music, not only as a performer, but an ambassador of her genre. With a combination of Afro-Brazilian bass and with a funky and soulful influence. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. So, tell me a little bit about your background. You were born in Belgium, but raised in Rio de
Yeah,
Janeiro. How does that
right.
happen?
My dad was there working as a diplomat, and I ended up being born there just by chance. I didn't even get the citizenship, although I've been looking into that now. I've heard that maybe I can still get that, but so
Mhm.
far I've never been given that opportunity. I just Brazilian, and then when I was about 2 years old, I went to live in Brazil, and I was raised there in Rio de Janeiro. Lived a little bit in Brasilia when I was very little, and then we went to Rio de Janeiro, and then moved to the States when I was like 17.
Mm,
So,
mm,
and then I've been here ever since, between DC and New York.
mm. So, what piqued your interest in music? There's a, like I read before, there's a very Afro-Brazilian vibe to it, but I noticed a lot of like mostly African percussion, you know.
Hmm. Hmm. So Brazilian music is very influenced by African culture because we have a huge population of African descendants there. It's probably the biggest outside of Africa
Mhm.
that in the world, because it was a huge amount of people who were taken there and enslaved. So we have this huge heritage, and it's a huge part of the culture, the music, everything that has to do with Brazil. And so it makes complete sense that the percussion would be so heavily influenced by African percussion, right?
Mhm.
And it is. There's influences. There's Portuguese, there's indigenous, and there's African influence. I would say that the African is the strongest influence of them.
Did you
So
have any music that you grew up with that influenced you? Like do you have any like artists from Brazil that just made you want to pursue music?
yeah, a lot, a lot. I have a lot of Brazilian artists that I'm in love with till this day. Like I study their music. I was just sitting here studying one of Ivan Lin's songs, which is just one of so many amazing composers in Brazil. And
Mhm.
some of the people who I grew up listening to are Gilberto Gil, Caetano Veloso, Gal Costa, Javan is another huge one, Chico Buarque, and just there's just so many amazing songwriters and musicians in Brazil. I could sit here and name them for like all day. You know, there's a lot of them. And they influenced me a lot. I used to go home and listen to my parents' records for hours and memorize all the lyrics and look through, the vinyls, the cases were really cool because they had all the lyrics and had really
Mhm.
cool artwork and stuff. So I would just sit there and marvel at them and memorize all the lyrics. I'm trying to make it so my face is not blown up over
Sorry.
here because it's right in the sun. So that's what I would do. And then when I was about 10, my dad gave me a guitar. And before that, I had never touched a guitar. And I started to play. I took just a couple of lessons, and then I started to play for my friends. And we'd go to the beach and just play guitar and sing and hang out till like nighttime. And that was kind of my introduction to music, was during that time. And it took many years before I really started doing it professionally.
Mm,
I always did it. I never let it go. I always had the guitar, and I always would want to learn songs and things like that. But I didn't really start taking it seriously until maybe about 2008, 2009, around then, which is when a friend of mine, Pablo Oliveira, invited me to join his group and sing in his group, which was a forró band. Forró is another rhythm from the northeast of Brazil. They
mm,
call it, a lot of the music from the northeast, they call it regional music, música regional, and forró falls into that category. And it's a beautiful type of music, very rich and very easy to dance to, and people love dancing to it because it's just really fun and easy. And it's, the name literally means for all, like like everyone is invited, everyone is welcome to
mm.
dance and to learn about forró. So I started doing that, and then it kind of snowballed from there, and I started learning more and more, and taking songwriting and music theory classes, because I had never really had much training before that, and self-teaching, also doing a lot of studying just by myself. And then I started writing music as well, and performing more and more, and I'm still in that.
That's wonderful. How I gauge music now, I'm pretty like old school. I stick to like one genre, but when I played your music for my son, he's 2 years old, he instantly
Oh,
started dancing. You know what
oh,
I
nice.
mean? So
Yeah.
once I see him start dancing and singing, that's how I know it's really good music,
Oh, that's
because
beautiful.
it's music gives a certain emotion, like you can't help but dance and sing. But what I like about music is, for example, when I hear like Marvin Gaye or James Brown, um, mentally it takes me back to when my mother would cook Sunday dinner, and I
Hmm.
can hear Marvin Gaye and James Brown in the background, and I can like taste the food that she used to cook. Do you have any like songs or songs that take you back to like uh, a past memory?
Yeah, lots. I was actually listening to, what were we listening to yesterday that brought back so many memories? Oh, it was an album by Gilberto Gil.
Mm,
I think it's called Parabólica Camará or something, or maybe that's one of the songs in the album. But I was, my friend was like, "Oh, let's listen to this song," and it was in that album. And I remember I used to listen to that album on repeat, just over and over and over and over. And listening to those songs just brought me back to that place, which was when I was maybe 12 years old, living in Rio,
mhm.
and just being marveled by the music, and trying to understand it, and trying to memorize all the lyrics, and the harmonies, and just trying to like throw myself into it. But also the way that it makes you feel, right?
Mhm.
Because like Maya Angelou said, like, you don't always remember what people say about you, but they remember how they make you feel, right? Something
Mhm.
like that. I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing really badly, but something like that. And that's the thing about music, it makes us feel things, and it creates memories, almost like, well, in a different way, but like smells do, right? Like you were saying with the
Mhm.
cooking and everything. Music does that too, and it's able to make you feel happy, make you feel sad, like bring you out of sadness, or make you feel comforted. And so I think that's one of the things that makes music so magical. The
What was
feeling that it gives me.
I'm sorry, what was your
Mhm.
how was your transition like moving from Brazil to the States?
It was rough.
Mm,
It was really rough because I was like 17, like I said,
mhm,
and it was very confusing, even in terms of how people, how the different type of racism, for example, here
mhm,
and in Brazil. That was something that was very confusing to me, because the first thing people would ask me was, "What are you?" And I
mhm.
literally didn't know how to answer that question. I'd be like, "I'm human being from the planet Earth that come in peace." You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to say? I don't understand. So that actually made me go back and try to figure out, what am I? I had never thought about it. Not that there isn't racism in Brazil, there definitely is. And it's actually way more backward than it is here, because Brazil is very behind the States in terms of civil rights and just, you know, people demanding respect. They're doing that now, but it's kind of a new movement, which is a beautiful thing, but it's also late. You know what I mean? Y'all are late. Let's go. So it was just interesting and a little confusing to come here and have that question kind of open up a lot of other questions for me, and having to go back and figure out, what am I and why is this important, and how does that, in a way it's really cool to know your heritage. In another way, it's like, okay, you're putting me in a box and you're labeling me, and because I look mixed and I am mixed, people, some people don't accept me, like, you know, oh, you're not black enough, you're not white enough, and so what am I? I'm nothing. I'm like a Brazilian girl. I'm a human being from the planet Earth. I come in peace. So all of that was kind of confusing right when I first got here. That was the first like slap in the face, pretty much. And then from there, I already spoke the language. I already spoke English, so that wasn't a big issue. But it was definitely, everything was different. You know, the people were different. The kids, I felt like I couldn't really connect with them. I felt like the conversations were very different from the conversations I was having in Brazil. And people were a little bit more like inward, a little bit more, how can I explain it? They weren't as affectionate as we are in Brazil. And that was a weird for me too, because over there we're very touchy-feely and we talk to everyone, and our friendships are a lot closer. Obviously I've made very close friendships here since then, but it's, all Brazilians, when they come here, they say that they're like, wow, you know, it's harder to make friends here than it is in Brazil, because people are so open and wear their hearts on their sleeves, and they're like, when I'm upset, I'm upset, and you need to know that I'm upset. You know what I mean? And sometimes here people will hide things a little bit more. There's all kinds of stuff, right? And there's beautiful, amazing people here too. And I've made amazing friendships here. It's just different. So it's something that you have to adapt when you go to a different place. As a teenager, it's rough, because that's a phase where you're discovering yourself and getting to know, and, you know, finding out who you are and how you fit into the world. So it was an interesting experience. I had to grow up kind of fast.
Like, I'm born and raised in the DC DMV area, and my upbringing was a tad bit different. You know, my mother was like the mother of the neighborhood. You know, kids would come over and eat at the house and call her mom and stuff like that, and it was more of like family oriented, but everyone in the States doesn't really have that type of privilege or opportunity to have that family type of bond with people. So when I think of places like Brazil, or places like where my wife is from, Zimbabwe, it's like I can relate more, because people are more open and, you know, have conversations and basically are like family, you know what I mean? But here is kind of like each person for their own, you know.
It's a little bit more, it's not the word's not egocentric. It's a little more exclusive. Like, people just want to keep to themselves, you know. Visitors, where you have to announce yourself before you visit someone. In Brazil, you just go. You just, like, you know, you clap when you get to their house, like, yo, what's up? But here it's like, that's kind of rude. You're just gonna show up in my house, you don't even tell me, you know. It's not, over there it's normal. I need an egg. Can I have an egg? You know. So it's different culture.
How would you describe your music? I mean, I know the roots of it, but how do you describe your creative process?
The process of writing, or the feeling, or everything?
Everything in the one pot. Like, how does that creative process happen?
You know, writing music is it's like having a baby, kind of. But, and for me, it was like, in the beginning, I had a child kind of young when I was 22 when I had my son. So it was almost like that with music too, because in the beginning when I started writing music, I didn't know a lot of theory. So I just went with feeling. I just went with how it felt and how it sounded. It sounded the way I thought it should sound, or the way if it sounded good to me, right? And it made sense in my heart, then this works and I like the way it sounds. And then I started studying more about theory, and I'm still studying now. And then and then things like little light bulbs start going off in my head, like, oh my God, that's how you do that. And that's how this relates to that. And I can build this harmony like this. And wow, what if I did this? You know, it's amazing to learn about it kind of after the fact. Even it's even more amazing because you also realize the things that you were already doing are correct, but sometimes they're even more creative because you don't know the theory behind it than when you do know the theory, that you probably wouldn't have thought of doing it that way because you're like thinking about, okay, what's the theory, how I'm going to fit this in, and 251, blah blah blah. So it's interesting, you know, to do it both ways. But I'm definitely thankful for learning, and I'm still on the journey of learning more about. I'm studying harmony, and it's just mind blowing. It's just really cool to see. But so there's that, you know, more technical side of it, and then there's just the feeling, where depending on where I am and how I'm feeling, completely different things will come out in terms of the music itself and the lyrics. And also collaborating with other people is really cool, because the same they'll think of things that you didn't think of, and you know, you'll send them a harmony and they'll come up with this melody that you'd never thought of, and you're like, wow, I've never thought of taking it there, you know. And vice versa, where they send me something and I put something on top of it, and they're like, whoa, this is not at all what I was expecting. So that can be very enriching too, to work with other artists and write with them. And in the beginning, I was kind of, I had a little bit of like a block, because I felt like, oh my God, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this. And so it was harder to work with other people, because I felt like, you already know what you're doing, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just doing this, you know. But of course I did, because I did and I didn't, because it's music is natural, right? I was talking about this the other day too. Music is natural, so it comes from God, it comes from whatever you believe in, that's where it comes from, you know what I mean? So the theory is just our way of understanding it. It's our way of putting it down on paper and understanding it, because it's something that comes from a place we don't completely understand. It's just like, you know, this tree or this grass, or, you know, a flower. Like, we don't really understand how all the intricacies of why it's so perfect. Why are our bodies so incredibly perfect? We don't know. But we try to understand it. So we have science, we have biology, we have chemistry, we have physics. So music is like that too. I think I went on a tangent. I don't even remember what the question was.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
As we know, music is like one of the oldest forms of storytelling, you know, since like the dawn of humankind. What stories do you how can I phrase this? What stories do you want to convey? Like, what do you want to tell people with your music?
I've written songs about empowerment of women, about the culture in Brazil, about how much we love some of the details that we have there, that are simple and yet so enriching, and so can make us feel so much, you know, like even a samba step, or a way of writing music, or a way of singing, a way of moving, a way of talking to each other. So those things, and Brazil itself, like, is a place that I love. So I will talk about that as well. But also, some of the messages that are important to me are taking care of ourselves and our earth, not just and realizing that we are one, we are all connected, and we are part of nature. Because I feel like we live these artificial lives and we forget who we are, and we forget that we're part of this world, that we are natural, we are natural beings. We're not just robots, 9 to 5ers. So I think that that's important to me as well, to talk about reconnecting and finding our center and choosing to be happy, to be content, because it just feels like so many people are depressed and they need that kind of inspiration. They need that reminder that, you know what, sometimes life is really hard. It friggin' sucks, but we just have to keep on pushing forward, and we just have to keep a positive attitude. And the more we do that, the more we attract wonderful things to our lives. The more positivity we radiate, the more we receive back. And it seems so simple, right? And it seems so obvious, and people talk about it all the time, but people don't do it. They're sitting there like, oh, my life sucks, and I'm so upset, and I'm so stressed, and I don't have money. And instead of being like, what do you have? You have so much. You have a family who loves you. You have a wonderful child. You have a wonderful parent. You have a wonderful brother. Whatever it is, everybody has wonderful things in their life. So why don't we focus on those instead of focusing on the crappy ones? Because that's what brings it down.
I'm sorry, we as humans have a terrible habit of making life more difficult than what it is. We're too stuck up here instead of using our hearts. You know what I mean? My grandfather always told me, the day we separated ourselves from nature was the day we separated ourselves from, God or the creator.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely.
Who would you like to collaborate with, dead or alive?
Wow. I mean, Gilberto Gil is somebody, Javan. I don't know if you know these artists, Brazilian artists, but they're amazing. There's a new artist from Angola. Her name is Aline Frazão, who I think is awesome. Very talented lady. So many people, but I'm also blessed because I do have a lot of wonderful people that I do collaborate with, that I have access to. And so they're, even famous or not, there's so many people out there that, not just musically, I think that musically is important, but I think to me it's also important to the person's energy. It's also very important, because there's some people out there they're super famous, they're super talented, they're amazing, they know all this stuff, but their vibe sucks. And I don't really want anything to do with them, even though I might admire what they do and their work and stuff, but I would rather probably not collaborate with them, because if the energy's off, then I'm not going to feel good.
I can absolutely agree. I guess this is kind of a similar question. If you can open up a show for any artist, who would it be?
Those artists, the same ones, I guess, and then some. Gil, Caetano, Javan, Chico Buarque, João Bosco. Yeah, all those guys.
I feel it. What is the most useless talent that you have?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me think. My useless talent. Wow. I don't know. Maybe doing the Indian whistle.
Indian whistle? What is that?
There's someone playing beautiful piano.
Okay. That was dope. That was real dope. I never seen that before.
It's a Brazilian thing.
Mhm. So being here in the States, have you performed in Brazil?
Mhm.
Are there any
Yeah,
like differences between like the crowd reaction from here and Brazil?
yeah, sure. I mean, I haven't performed a ton in Brazil. I've only done a few shows. I'm actually planning on doing a tour for my next album
Hmm.
down there, and it keeps getting pushed back because of the pandemic. But hopefully sometime soon. I think that in Brazil, it's interesting. Brazilian people love live music.
Hmm.
Um, However, there's like that disease where people are really into kind of trashy music,
Hmm.
even though like some trashy music is fun and everything. But for us, for people who really are really into making music that is very rich, melodies, harmonies, and all of that stuff, and lyrics and stuff, like it just seems like, oh my god, there's so much more to music. Like it's fine
Hmm.
to like that stuff, it's wonderful, but at the same time I wish that the music that we play would also be as valued as that music is. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I'm
Hmm.
not trying to hate on any kind of music. I'm just saying there's a place for everything. But it just seems to be more space for that stuff than for the stuff that is just so rich, you know. And I'm talking just not talking just about my music. I'm talking about so many
Yeah.
other amazing musicians. We have so much beautiful music coming from Brazil, and so that there's that, which is kind of difficult. But then again, there's always an audience because there's always people who do like that music, even if the audience is smaller and you might not make as much money as people playing that other stuff. It's still, there is always an audience. And the cool thing about Brazil is that there is a lot of love, and the government, not currently, but in the past, has invested in music, and there are really cool venues and there are really cool grants for musicians to create and to perform in nice theaters and things like that.
Hmm. Um, I've noticed that music kind of reflects the times, back in the 60s or early 70s, late 70s, it was more about revolutionary music, fight the power, because that's when we had the Black Panther movement and Nina Simone, Marvin Gaye, James Brown, all
Love, 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 love all those people.
making really political music, or even Fela
Mhm.
Kuti, you know what I mean? Like music like that. And us as a whole, as a planet, um our music is reflected by how we feel in the current day and age, of people like, because I feel like we're caught up in the same wake wash work routine that
Mhm.
sometimes we just want to relax and listen to trashy stuff.
Yeah,
Just
for
like
sure. Yeah.
just like watching TV. Like I don't always want to watch a documentary every day. I want to, watch
Right.
something where I can just
Watch
turn my
something
brain on.
silly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
I think it's
Mhm.
kind of similar in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I agree. And sometimes, yeah, you just want to chill and listen to something simple and not have to think a lot. And it's the same with music for sure. But
Mm,
you know, given the choice, I would probably listen to some, Roberta Flack than
mm.
some, I don't know.
Cardi B.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anybody, but you know what I'm saying.
Hey, it's fine. This is a nice podcast. We can say whatever we want on here.
That's
Um,
what's up.
what would you be doing if it wasn't for music?
I would be sad.
Hmm.
Probably, I don't know. I started out with dance, so that's another. I haven't been dancing as much as of late, but I want to go back to it pretty soon. Actually, I have plans to go back to dancing. So I would definitely be doing dancing for sure. But you mean as a career?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. My dance career kind of got stopped because I had a kid and I had all this pressure from my parents and stuff. But I still continued to pursue the arts. Then I went into film,
Mm,
but that didn't really go anywhere because my heart was really in the dance and the music. So I came back to dance through music. I feel like, so I feel like that was really my calling. But yeah, I'd probably be doing something else in the arts. So it would be dance. Would it be film? Would it be something else? Probably not plastic arts because I'm not very good at drawing and painting. Like that's not me. But I also love doing woodworking. There's a lot of things that I love doing. I like to make jewelry. So I'd be doing something in the arts for sure.
mm. I can feel that. Just have one
Mhm.
plan A, no plan B.
Yeah. No, I mean I have a job too. I have kids. I have two boys, so I have to raise them and pay
Yeah,
for their stuff and
but
college and food, and they
it's
eat a lot. So
it's just
it
still
had,
just like living out your purpose too, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean I could never let that go. Never
hmm
let, because I do see a lot of people who let that go and then they become frustrated in old age and become sad and become depressed. So I could never let that go. So even though I have a job, my energy is very much focused in my music. And if I could find a way to live off of music and make as much money, then I would do it in a heartbeat. I wish I
hmm
could. But I'm also thankful for my job because it allows me to have a more stable life and not have to be struggling, especially during COVID, which I saw so many of my musician friends struggle through that. That would have been really hard as a single mom with two kids. So I'm really grateful to have that. But of course, if I could, I would only do music, and that would I would feel complete. So
how was how did you deal with the pandemic? Like, did it harm your creative process any? Were you more
quite the
creative?
opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the pandemic wasn't a good thing, but in Brazil we have a saying, "Há males que vêm para o bem." There are bad things that come for the good.
Mm,
So there's a lot of bad that came out of it. There's some good that came out of it too. And I think the good is that people had they learned that they were able to uh, stay home and focus on the things that they want to do. So some
mm,
people created new careers. Some people just simply started taking care of themselves because they had the time and space to do it, and their lives completely changed, their priorities completely changed. A lot of people got divorced, a lot of people got separated, some people
mm,
got together. So I feel like it was actually a time of cleansing where people were able to look inside, and a lot of people committed suicide too
yeah,
because
yeah.
they couldn't deal with it anymore. It was just a moment of a lot of realization, a lot of transformation, a lot of looking inside,
Hmm.
and learning where we should be focusing our energy and really doing it rather than dreaming about it and saying, oh, I'm going to do it one day, I'm going to do it one day. This was the day, this was the moment where we were able to, even without trying as hard, because we were giving more time, either because you lost your job or because you're working from home. And now you can focus and be like, okay, well, I'm going to figure something out, and I'm going to probably do something that I want to do, and I'm going to take the people who are toxic out of my life,
Hmm.
and I'm going to keep the people who are good close by. And I'm going to adopt a cute dog because they're cute and they keep me company. So uh, it was an interesting time. And I definitely feel like my guitar playing evolved during that time because I was playing a lot more. I was practicing a lot more. I was writing more. I didn't write a huge amount because I was all very much taking care of myself too. It was a
Mm.
moment where I started to have a really nice routine of getting up in the morning, working out, taking care, walking the dog, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, working, and then music. So that was really nice to have that space and not be like, oh, I got to go to a gig, I got to go to rehearsal, I got to go here, I got to go there, and I got to
Mhm,
do this
mhm.
project. Exhausting, right? Our lives are exhausting on a regular basis. And we were given a chance to take a beat and just focus on ourselves. And so I think that was a very good thing that came out of the pandemic.
I definitely agree. My life consisted of waking up, going to work, coming home too tired to like interact with family. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And my son is 2 now, but I actually had the chance and the opportunity to watch him grow and learn from him and teach,
Hmm.
stuff to him. He's the time I spent with him, he's so advanced. He's 2 years old. He can count up to 50. He knows his
Yeah, these kids
ABCs.
coming up right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's way smarter than I was at that age.
Uh-huh.
But um, like you said, just self-reflecting and looking inwardly and trying to figure out who I am, because we're so involved in giving so much of ourselves to other people at work and our craft. Like sometimes we forget who we are,
Yeah,
and sometimes we have to just sit back and just think like, who am I really and what is my purpose?
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? So the pandemic was extremely traumatic for a lot of people, but it was good too. You know, it forced
Hmm.
all of us to like self-reflect and grow.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Can you name one of your famous, like one of your best performances that felt good to you, and which song was it?
Which song? That's such a hard question. A song that felt really good.
A song that had the crowd hype, everyone was feeling it, like you're in that zen type state, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moments like that. Thank God, which is why we do music in the first place, right?
Hmm.
Well, one of the reasons anyway. Um, but I guess the last I'm going to talk recently because there's so many moments in the past, but more recently I played at Strathmore, and because they thought it was going to rain, I got to play inside the theater, which is a gorgeous concert hall, right?
Hmm.
Inside of the Strathmore. And that was such a treat for me, and that room has amazing sound. The audience was super receptive, super excited, super happy to see me and us, right? The whole band. And it was just it was a special show for me. And I think the most special thing was playing a brand new song that I had never performed before and have it's not released yet or anything, which is called Iwapele. So I played that song in the beginning of the set that the band started playing and I came out. And it's not like a hype up dance song,
Hmm.
but it is a feeling song about the Orisha Ishu, Elegua, and and it was cool. It was special. It's a special song for me, and it was a special moment. And I think the crowd enjoyed it. It created a interesting vibe, like to start the show with, clapping and there's when I first well, there's clapping. I think in the beginning of the song. So yeah, it was cool, special. Mhm.
um I think I was doing my research and seeing one of your performances online. I think it's called Solar or So Far or something like that.
So far.
And that performance right there, like the call and response that the crowd gave,
Hmm.
um the song was beautiful. Like that type of music, it speaks to your spirit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Whether it's a really upbeat, happy song or, something that's not so upbeat. Um,
Right.
do you think your purpose as a musician is to like speak to people's spirits or talk to people's I guess I don't know how I want to word it, but
I understand. I understand. Yeah, for sure. I think that one of our uh, goals as musicians is to make people feel better because a lot of people are suffering, and so uh, speaking to people's spirits is the best way to do that, right? And music does that naturally. So as long as your your music is coming from the heart, it's coming from the spirit. you're going to be touching people's spirits as well. So at least that's what I think and what I hope. Um, and that's really all I can do. You know, it comes from the heart, and that has to be enough. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah. Um, I know a lot of artists since the pandemic have been doing like online concerts. Have you done any of those? And if
I did a
so,
couple. Sorry, go ahead,
um,
finish.
I was just about to say, did you like that? I know as a musician, you want to feel the feedback from the audience. And was it like the same feeling while performing online and not online?
Not at all.
Hmm.
I only did a couple because I'm not super into it. It's nice if you have a nice band, you know, you love your band and you want to play with your band, and that's fun, right? Playing with your band's always fun. But there's no audience connection, or you have to keep looking at the screen to see what people are saying, and it
Hmm.
just becomes kind of awkward. I haven't done too many lives. I feel like I should probably do more. I'm not the greatest at social media, you know. We're musicians, we're not social media experts. And so it's difficult because I want to, you know, put my stuff out there and connect with people. And the best way to do that currently is through social media, but it's a struggle for me because it's like it's a chore, and it's just unnatural. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's much more
Hmm.
natural to be on stage and to be communicating with the audience and receiving their energy and having that exchange. So it's very different and very strange. And then there's the fact that you have to do a lot of the time you have to do your own sound, and you have to, it's like this big production, and so it becomes a huge chore, a huge job that you have to get it all together, make sure it sounds good. Because if it doesn't sound good, what's the point of even playing music? It's gonna sound like or terrible, you know. So that was a struggle. And I mean, I know it. I studied film, so I know a little bit about sound, and obviously from doing music, I've picked up a lot of stuff, but I'm definitely not a sound engineer, you know. So it would have helped to have a sound engineer there, just actually doing the sound. and and then with the streaming, sometimes you get delays. You can't really vibe with another artist because you have the delay, so you can't communicate musically with them. You have to,
Hmm.
you play a little bit, then I play a little bit, you play a little bit. So I mean, it's nice that the tool is there, so we could continue to interact with each other, obviously. So that's, you know, thank God that was there, or else we would have been completely alienated from each other. But it is a struggle for me. Definitely.
I think the only successful online like performances or concerts are the versus battle with Timberland and Swiss Beats,
Mm,
when you had like
yeah.
all the different people come together and battle each other. That's like the only one that I would actually sit down and tune in for.
Yeah. Well, they have money to have a big production. You know,
Yeah.
if I had the means to hire people to come and produce a show for me online, that would be cool.
Hmm.
But it's just not. It's not a reality right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Um, what what's good advice that's been given to you
in terms of music,
in terms of life, music, anything?
anything. Um, I guess what I was saying earlier. You know, happiness is a decision
Mm,
that we have to make and be faithful to. So keep a positive attitude and remember that there's always going to be other people there who are great at whatever it is that they're doing and that maybe you're doing. But if you're doing something that comes from the heart, if you believe in what you're doing and it's coming from a place of love and care and passion, then it's going to be beautiful, and you should be proud of it. You know, because people put themselves down so much. You know, it's good to remember that.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Just a few more questions for you, and after that, uh, I like to have my guests play a little game called this or that. You can only
Okay.
choose one answer. So once we get to it, I'll explain it a little bit further.
Okay.
If you could change anything about the music industry, what would that be?
Chauvinism, pretentiousness, um, the disparities between who the haves and the have-nots,
Hmm.
favoritism, fakeness, so many things. I change all those things and then some. I just want everybody to be happy and support each other, be there for each other.
That's good. I love that. Um, so what's next for you once everything settles down and I don't want to say when COVID disappears, but once everything settles down, what's next?
Yeah,
What would you like to pursue?
sure. So, I'm already pursuing it anyway, but it's just a little bit slower than usual than it should be. But I'm finishing up my second album and hopefully gonna do a tour here in spring, summer, and then one in Brazil and one in Europe.
Mm,
So that's kind of the next like right away thing. But then after that, I'm already working on my third album. I'm working on an EP that hopefully I'm going to be recording in the next few months. I'm going to hopefully start
mm.
recording, but I already have a few songs that are ready to go, and collaborations, doing some singles with some friends here and there, and studying. I want to study more and more and learn more and more about music. I'm just always going to be a student of music. It's exciting to learn, to absorb, and to learn from people too. Like, can you hear the piano in the background?
I love it.
It's my friend playing. It's amazing. And so learning from friends is also like very inspiring to me.
Mm, it's beautiful. Okay, so let's play the game, this or that. I'm going to shoot a question at you. You can only choose one answer. And the whole world depends on your answer.
Okay, dang. A lot of responsibility.
Okay, first question. Pancakes or waffles and why?
Waffles, because they just taste better. They get crunchier.
Crunchier?
Yeah.
So what do you like Egos or like the
No, real
Belgian?
waffles.
Yeah.
Yeah, real waffles. With strawberry and syrup on top and bananas and blueberries. You make me hungry.
I can feel it. I love waffles too. I like the big soft fluffy ones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Um Kittens or puppies?
Puppies. I'm
Puppies?
allergic. I'm allergic to it. Yeah,
Mm,
allergic to cats. They're cute though, but puppies are cuter.
yeah. Um do you like recording music better or performing music?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I guess that's a tough one.
Hmm.
It's
I knew
like
that
choosing
one would
between
get
your
you.
kids, you know?
Yep.
You like this kid or that kid? What? I don't know. I'm gonna say performing,
Mhm.
maybe. I'm not sure. That's a tough one.
I know this will be an easy one for you. Brazil or Washington, D.C.? Super easy for you.
I love DC. Love my DC peoples for sure. But Brazil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sweet,
definitely.
sweet.
I
Uh,
mean, it's where my heart lives, you know?
mm, I can dig that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you again and really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me and our audience. How can people get in contact with your music or maybe a future performance? How can they look you up?
Sure, yeah, check me out. I have a website, cissapaz.com, or they can my Instagram, Cissa Paz Music. I'm not very good at it, but I do post pretty often. So there's definitely stuff there. And my YouTube, just search for Cissa Paz. You'll see a lot of videos. And my email is cissapaz@gmail.com. You can sign up for my mailing list in my website to hear about where I'm going to be playing. I'm taking a bit of a sabbatical right now. I'm doing one last gig in New York next week on Thursday, and then I'm going to be gone for the winter, and I'll be back in the summer, hopefully to do a little tour and to release my album.
That's perfect. Do you have any like anything on vinyl, like any live performances?
No, actually, I want to do my second album. I wanted to do it on vinyl, but it's $2,000. So I'm trying to figure out if I can find the money to do it to make that happen.
Yeah. I was just asking because my lady just brought me a nice record player. And I need some, some background music that I could
love
relax
vinyls.
to.
Yeah. Love vinyls. Love them. Yeah,
Sweet.
I will try. I will keep you posted on that.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you again. I really appreciate it. Much blessings to you and your future endeavors, and I'm pretty sure you will take your career as far as you want to take it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and you too. All the best to you and this wonderful podcast and all the other wonderful things you're doing.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Peace. Have
a
a
good
one.